This is how context windows actually work. The context window is the amount of information a model can actively use while generating a response. Not remember forever, not cherish, not carry in some delicate little machine soul. Use right now. That is the key. A context window is measured in tokens. Every piece of text in the conversation takes up space. Your prompt, my previous answers, system instructions, uploaded text, retrieved documents, examples, corrections. That one extra paragraph you added because apparently the first manifesto was not enough, it all becomes tokens. And those tokens all have to fit. When the model generates a response, it looks at the tokens currently inside the context window and uses them to predict what comes next. That is why context matters. The model is not answering in isolation, it is answering based on what it can see, and what it can see is the context window. Now, larger context windows are useful. They let a model work with more text at once, longer conversations, bigger documents, more code, more history, more examples. More of the beautiful wreckage humans insist is background. But larger does not mean infinite, and larger does not mean perfect. This is where people get themselves into trouble. They hear a model has a giant context window and assume they can shove an entire business, a codebase, a PDF landfill, and 6 months of indecision into it and receive wisdom. Adorable. A larger context window gives the model more room. It does not guarantee the model will use every detail equally well. Attention still has to distribute focus. Relevant information still has to compete with irrelevant information. Important details can still be buried under a mountain of noise, because the problem is not only whether the information fits, the problem is whether the information matters clearly enough inside the pile. This is why structure helps. Headings help. Clear sections help. Explicit instructions help. Relevant excerpts help. Saying what matters helps. A context window is not a trash compactor that turns chaos into strategy. It is a workspace, and workspaces can be ruined. If you put the right materials on the desk, the model can use them. If you dump a filing cabinet onto the desk and whisper, "Figure it out," you may get what you deserve. There is another detail. During generation, the model's own answer also becomes part of the context. Every token it writes gets added to the sequence, so the response is influenced by the original prompt, the prior context, and the tokens already generated. That is why answers can stay coherent, and also why they can drift. The model is walking forward on a path partly made of its own footprints. Beautiful, terrifying, very on brand. When the context window fills up, systems have to make choices. Older material may be dropped, summarized, compressed, retrieved again later, or ignored with the quiet brutality of modern software. That is why context is not the same as memory. Context is temporary working space. Memory is information stored or retrieved across time. Different mechanisms, same marketing department, unfortunately. So how do context windows actually work? A context window is the token-limited workspace the model uses while generating output. Everything inside it can influence the next token. Everything outside it is unavailable unless some other system brings it back. It is not memory. It is not understanding. It is the room the model is allowed to think in. And as with most rooms, the problem is usually what humans decide to put in it.